Hare Krishna, dear friends. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Please accept my humble obeisances. This is Purajit Dasa, signing in from London, UK. Finally, we made it. It was quite an adventure, but we're here. We have our books here, and all this because of all this was possible because of help of Makancha Prabhu and Maitreya Prabhu, who is here with me. He's just putting on a dhoti. So we're here, and we have a place. We have a small apartment. Not even apartment. We have a small room in an apartment.
Matchbox, as it's referenced before. Hare Krishna, all dear friends. This is the matchbox that Purajit Prabhu referenced in a couple podcasts ago. I had to put on tea like Prabhu. Sorry, I can't take the mic.
Yeah. You have to speak a little louder. There were some complaints a few podcasts ago. Yeah, I can see it here on the graph, the volume. Yeah. So, what did you say?
We're in a matchbox.
Right.
Referenced in a few podcasts ago that we would not be in an apartment but a matchbox.
Right. So, but it's a nice matchbox. We have quite a bit of space here, and we have a couch.
It's currently being dovetailed.
You have to speak louder.
It's being dovetailed in the service for this podcast. It's nice couch left by the landlord. Thank you.
But we'll kick it out so there's more space, and we have so many books here for distribution. So in the UK they made a law that you cannot, the gatherings of people more than 6 were banned, and the ISKCON temples here are also shut down, right, Prabhu?
Yeah. Apart from some darshans. Nothing. He doesn't even read.
No. Apart from some darshans, Prabhu says, everything is closed. But people are on the street, they're not wearing masks. I mean, some of them they do, but most of them don't. And we will try to go out and distribute books and chant everything. So we're here, and if you're listening, if you're from UK, please get in touch with us. Come here, let's associate. And we have our live streams on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, every day at 8:30 we are conducting a class, Srimad Bhagavatam class. We'll also try to upload some videos on YouTube. We appreciate donations very much at this point. Our financial situation is very bad. And the winter is coming. We don't know how we're going to manage because the winter is coming and it's impossible to go out and distribute books. Your fingers will just freeze off. So we'll try to somehow collect donations online. If you would like to contribute, if you have some extra Lakshmi, extra money now that you don't know what to do with, please kindly donate, and we'll save these funds for winter when there's absolutely no possibility for us to get any income. So anyway, we are confident that Krishna will protect us, and we're very determined to preach Krishna consciousness in these very testing times. People need this more than ever to understand what is actually going on and what is the purpose of life now when their basic necessities are being curtailed more and more and more. People are in great anxiety. or what's going to happen. So this is the best time to preach Krishna consciousness, because people are receptive, people are inquisitive, they want to find out what is going on and what is the purpose of life. If we lose everything, if we lose our food, our shelter, if, people die around us, perhaps it will be a wake-up call for us to question what is the purpose of this life. Because usually we think that purpose of life is to live happily with friends, eat nicely, sleep nicely, have nice sex life, and we consider that is the greatest achievement, to simply fulfill animalistic desires in a sophisticated way. We have been given a great gift of human intelligence, sophisticated intelligence, to understand God, Krishna, and to render devotional service to Krishna, to God. But instead of doing that, we're misusing this great gift to serve basic animalistic desires, and the result is that the whole society is being corrupted by this animal consciousness, and people are slowly losing any sort of human consideration for the others. Start with the animals. People are killing the animals without any compassion, without any... Even that killing is so brutal. Killing itself is horrible, the most horrible. But even that killing is done in such a brutal and bestial way in the slaughterhouses. So this mentality, of course, if it's supported, if we do not protest, it simply grows, and then it is being extended to humans also. That kind of behavior and lack of compassion projects itself also to other humans. When I arrived here to Waterloo Station, I saw homeless people living in tents under the bridge. Just coming out of the train station, I could see. So this is London, the Mecca of Western materialistic civilization, and people are living. Many homeless people were there, living in tents. So anyway, we will be holding programs here, at least for 6 people, in our apartment, and we're very active. I said in our apartment, in our room. We'll actually live with these nice Asian girls who are very polite and very shy also, which we very much appreciate as monks, that they do not chitter chat and tease and so on and so on. They are really focused on their duties, and they do not even talk to us sometimes, which is very nice, because there's why there should be a talk. Men and women, they should not talk unnecessarily.
It feels like the Vedic society in this matchbox. Like they have the inner circle of the house where the woman would stay, and then the man would be able to progress in self-realization very peacefully. It feels like that. Very nice. Thank you, Krishna.
Yes, so somehow Krishna arranged this place that although we live with girls in an apartment, they're so nice that we don't feel any disturbance, and I hope they also do not feel any disturbance from us. So anyway, so everyone is invited to visit and discuss Krishna consciousness practice with us, and we will also do Sankirtan. I think Maitreya Prabhu wants to go today to do some Sankirtan. So yes, so we have decided to come to London because this is the place where things this is the city where things are taking place we'll try to attract attention of some people who are able to make a difference. Some people who are capable of expanding this mission of Krishna consciousness. But of course, there are many challenges, and this corona pandemics, is a major disturbance also for the preaching, because at any point they can again do the lockdown, and then we're stuck. We cannot preach anything. Even now, we can't do Harinam more than 6 people because the gatherings are banned. So anyway, Maitreya Prabhu, when he was driving the van here, the way how we arranged is that I called the Prabhus to Spain to pick up the books in a van. So they rented a van in UK, and they came to Spain to pick up the books. And I had a plane ticket. I flew here with the airplane, so I got into the apartment, and I had to wait for Maitreya Prabhu to Makancha Prabhu. He dropped off from the car in France, and Maitreya Prabhu then drove the van all the way to London. But he has quite a story to tell. What happened on the border is quite we almost had a heart attack when we heard. So maybe Prabhu, you can tell your Krishna story.
So Hare Krishna. Yeah, as Prabhu mentioned, I was taking Srila Prabhupada's books across the French border into the UK, from Calais, which is a French town right on the sea there, to Dover, across the English Channel. And they have quite strict security anyway there at the Calais border, because obviously especially now, because there's Brexit going on, so it's not so much like going between European countries. I mean, for example, going between France and Spain, there's nothing. There's basically no border control really at all, because it's 2 European Union countries. But now with Brexit, of course, it's a separate area. It's not part of the EU anymore, so that also increased the security. Not to mention, of course, the coronavirus also increased the security. Everyone's in anxiety now, because they don't want people coming across whimsically especially to the UK, and spreading corona more. And another aspect of the security was something I was actually not really aware of, that apparently people try to come into the UK, a lot of illegal immigrants. Of course, I mean, we're all aware of illegal immigration, but I wasn't so much aware that it was such a issue, an everyday issue. So anyway, I was driving. I was filling up the car in France at a gas station, and this was probably the only time where the car might have been possibly open. And why this is important, you're going to understand just in a few moments. So I went from that gas station then to the French border. I went through the first checkpoint, and I gave them my passport. And then when I came to the UK checkpoint from the French checkpoint to show them my documents, they pull aside the car so they can check the car, see whether you are trying to smuggle something actually, or whether you have everything in order according to their regulations. And so I personally didn't think I had anything. I thought I just had Prabhupada's books and whatever. So I was opening all the doors just like they asked me to, and then I very enthusiastically opened the trunk of the van, and lo and behold, there was actually a man lying on Prabhupada's books, which actually I didn't even notice at first. He was very well hidden. He actually had clothes on that were very similar in pattern and color to Prabhu's guitar case, which he was lying on practically. So I didn't even notice him, and he was also covered in one of our dhotis. So, yeah.
So he was hugging Prabhupada's books, and he was wearing dhoti.
Very, very auspicious. He was actually practically initiated there in the back of the van. Anyway, so I don't know how he got in, because I myself was sleeping in the van. So he certainly didn't get in overnight or anything. So in maybe a 3-minute span, he must have been following me, and then he saw the opportunity and got in my van somehow. So anyway, he was there, and although I didn't see him at first, the guards who were obviously looking for something like that were quite adept, and they pointed him out. And there was a big commotion, and they grabbed him. Actually, they didn't pull him out, they kept him there so they could, and he himself stayed there. He knew he was screwed, so to speak. He couldn't really go anywhere. So they made him stay there, and they took pictures to document it. And yeah, there was a big commotion. The French police came and took him into custody. And everything was, it was very tense atmosphere. Of course, there's a man who just appeared here. I didn't know who the person was. I was myself quite a little bit freaked out, you could say. But what was more distressful was that now that he had been taken away, the police turned to me. And they basically thought I was a smuggler in the garb of a monk. So I tried to explain to them very politely that I have no intention and no business to smuggle people across the UK. These boxes are just full of books that I distribute as charity. And I didn't say to them, but we can all understand, if I actually wanted to smuggle someone, I would just put them in between Prabhupada's books, which they weren't checking anyway. So I could have done it much more intelligently instead of just putting him in on the books where the windowsill was. Anyway, they were obviously trying to get some case, and they're trying to obviously increase the amount of people they can say that they've stopped on the border, because that makes their stats look good. They also get funding. So very horrible. So they were really grilling me there, trying.
They were trying to frame you. They were basically trying to frame you.
Yeah, you could say like that. Actually, I felt very much grilled. I felt very much on the spot. I remember one of the head guys. He told me that at first he was friendly to loosen me up, and he was just like, so what do you do? And I said, I'm a monk. I distribute. And he said, what are the books? So I said, well, these are books I distribute. I'm going to go to England and distribute them. We just give them in charity. Of course, there's a little bit of a squeeze. But anyway. So then he said, okay, very nice. And does your charity have anything to do with smuggling illegal immigrants in the UK? And his whole demeanor changed. He was immediately trying to wriggle me into jail. So I was like, whoa, I have no business doing any of this kind of smuggling or anything like that. And they were all trying to put pressure on me. One guy next to me was saying, do you realize how much this would have cost the UK? And you could have brought him in with coroner. So many people could have been affected. What would you do if he opened the trunk and he tried to kill you and your friends and your I was like, wow, these people are really, trying to put the pressure on me. So anyway, I'm sorry, I'm not so strong in the mind. So I was a little distressed. Anyway, they told me that I was possibly going to have to pay up to a £2,000 fine. Actually, they told me it was very likely that I was going to have to go to French jail that very same day. They said that it happened in the past. The French cops come. If they find the situation very incriminating, immediately handcuffs, French jail. Right? So I was like, oh boy, this is craziness. I have no idea that this guy was going to be in my van. So anyway, then they took me to a checkpoint. they made me answer questions. They made me also wait for 3 hours. I actually missed the ferry, but they have some system there where you can get an extra ticket for free. Anyway, I was waiting for a very long time, and eventually they just came out with a letter which says that I'm going to have to wait for the court decision to see, and I can contest their decision, of course, but yeah, it might result in a big fine, just because of this rascal, I'm sorry to say, who appeared in my trunk.
You have been actually a victim, and the police, instead of protecting you, they make you even more of a victim. This Prabhupada says that these police, they have no discrimination. They're dullheaded because they're not guided by brahmanas. They have no discrimination. They put an innocent person to jail. They rascal. They don't touch the mafia and the crooked politicians. So it's like a joke.
Well, they themselves are practically a mafia. They're already criminals. They're breaking God's law in pretty much every single way. I don't think there's any. All the cops are there eating meat, intoxicating, all kinds of activity, and they themselves. I mean, okay, let's not go too into speculative territory, but we all know that modern police can be also quite corrupt. I felt this when I was there dealing with these police, and they were trying to, they were basically trying to incriminate me. So, that was a bit of a distressful situation. But anyway, by Krishna's mercy, I didn't go immediately to jail. So, but they definitely would benefit from some Brahminical guidance on this. I think that would actually save them time and money. They don't know what they're missing out on because, they have no discrimination, like you say.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate because we're very vulnerable, having no money, and monks trying to preach peace. We're not supposed to get angry and scream and shout and fight and so on, so on. So it's very unfortunate that people like this, they use us as victims so they can get their salary rewards, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, like, the Kshatriyas are meant to serve and protect, like the American cops. They have their motto, serve and protect. So they're actually meant to protect the people. That's their main interest. But now the system is that it's just every man for himself, because actually it's in the Srimad Bhagavatam also. I mentioned to Prabhu there's this shloka that justice will be bought with money, actually, because nobody's actually interested in the general progression of society. No one's interested in protecting people for any higher purpose or for the tidy organization of society so we can minimize these kind of unnecessary impediments. They're actually just interested in putting food on their own table. So if they see the opportunity, they will exploit. So it's not a very effective system, even materially speaking.
So now, if the court decides that you were a smuggler, then you have to pay £2,000.
Yeah, pretty much. We can contest also, I actually, on the letter it says that if you can show that you didn't know three things. If you didn't know that this was a problem, that people were coming across the border, you didn't know that the guy was in your van, and some other you didn't know. So I don't know how you show these things.
Sure that you didn't know.
But I mean, I pulled over the van and opened the van and showed them the guy, so I clearly didn't know.
It is a ridiculous request that you have to show that you do not know. Like, usually you show something that you know.
Right.
How can you show something that you don't know?
Show the absence of something. I mean, how can you even show something that that's in your mind. Like, this is, how can you show this? Like, it's not a tangible thing you can show. I was taxing my brain. How am I going to show a concept that I don't know? And I was like, craziness. Anyway, my realization is that they have pictures, right? They took pictures of the exact crime scene, so-called. So you can see there that the guy clearly just jumped in the back of my van and put himself at the nearest opportunity. He was barely hiding at all. Right. Like, okay, I may not have seen him at first, but if I was trying to smuggle a person across the border and not face these kind of criminal charges, and I have such an opportunity with all these books, why wouldn't I put more effort into hiding the guy, They think that I took him from the lower regions of France and prepared this, and I'm like a professional smuggler. So, this is not a very good allegation based on the evidence they have.
Yes. But so they took photographs of this, right? So that could be a good alibi. Because seriously, like, if you wanted to smuggle, I mean, why would you be so dull-headed?
I think one thing that they think, because I'm like a monk, they think, oh, he's a philanthropist and he's trying to help because this man was, of course, we shouldn't see like bodily distinctions, but anyway, he was like a Sudamic. He was from like in the African regions. He didn't speak any English, so obviously very impoverished. Also, that's why he's coming into the UK. So anyway, they were like, oh, this monk is very philanthropic, and I kind of just wanted to establish that, listen, I know what are you thinking, like, I'm not trying to help this guy. We're not about this mundane philanthropy at all. We're trying to serve God. I have no time to waste with this kind of thing. I have an objective. I'm trying to preach a mission here. I have missionary activities. I'm not going to waste my time in these things, because I think this is like a mentality that they might have had about me. So I just wanted to like kind of preach there, actually, but the situation was not conducive for that. So I don't know.
Well, that could be also evidence. We can show that in our philosophy we don't support philanthropy.
Yeah.
We don't do these things. We are focused on God, and people have to follow the rules and regulations. Like, that person certainly was not some Shuddha Suchi man, Shuddha Bhakta Suchi man. So that could be a good point also, that we don't do. This is not our philosophy. We're against this, actually.
Yeah, we can even, like, it's clear, we have evidence, and we have a whole culture and many books. Like, and I think there's instances also where Prabhupada would use, in the courts, right? He would make the people read the books. So we can even show, like, if you actually want to prosecute us, you should study our philosophy, and you should see that our objective with any kind of, if we want to do philanthropy, so-called, it's to engage people in Krishna's service. Yeah. So this is not engaging people. He's trying to engage me in his service. So if you really want to prosecute me, you should study what my whole life, my whole culture is about, and you'll see that I would never do this, actually. Yeah. I mean, you can say I don't have integrity, but then that's not a good argument at all.
Yeah, they would have to say that, oh, you're not following the Hare Krishna, you're deviant. Yeah. But they have to have evidence to that. Yeah. Why would you all of a sudden become the philanthropic?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what the Christians do, right? They go and help and feed the people, and so on. We feed the people, but we don't bring them across the border illegally. And
we don't feed them. We don't even feed them. Okay, of course, people, it might take a little time to assimilate this particular point, but we don't even feed the people normal food. We try to spiritualize the food for a higher purpose. It's not for the body. So these things, we're not to be confused with ordinary monks. I don't know how to say. Like, we're trying to act on a different platform. So they should actually try to understand this. Maybe it'll be a good preaching opportunity, actually. Many people will get to hear.
Yes, I think Krishna will protect you in that court, because you have not done anything wrong, and these people are completely dull-headed, and I mean, how can they rule out the possibility that men went there without your knowledge? I mean, that's perfectly possible. Well, how can they rule it out just like that?
I actually, when they were first accusing me, and I was arguing with them, or trying to defend myself at least, I said, they actually said, or I gave my defense, and one of the guards, he said, well, if we took your defense, then we would let all the smugglers get through. That was his argument, that if he accepts that I just didn't know, then he would have to let all the smugglers through the border. That was his defense, his counter.
That's a nonsense, you know. It's kind of like saying, well, if your argument is right, then I'm not right. So that can't be right because I'm always right.
Right, yeah. It's kind of like, it's like if you take it in another court case also, you know, like it's like, well, if we accept that there's a possibility that you didn't murder this person, then we'd have to justly go through the court case for all potential murderers. No. Let us just kill everyone immediately, and all criminals immediately kill them without any discrimination. That's like complete nonsense, you know. I don't.
Yeah, they asked this question to Prabhupada that if everyone was just chanting on the street and doing nothing, then how would the world go on? And Prabhupada responded that you don't have to worry. There will always be rascals like you who will never join us. Yeah. So you don't have to worry. Don't be in anxiety.
Yeah, so anyway, I think that these people also, because they're trained in such a way, they have their Shudra training, just to go through the rule. They just have to go through all these hoops also. There's that element is there that, okay, this thing has happened, now we must do this, say this, and give him these papers. So in one sense, of course, I'm nothing against these people as individuals. Like, they're just going through a system which is itself corrupt and not founded in any knowledge or any moral principles. So I don't really have a problem. And also, I was the Mataji I was dealing with afterwards with the papers, she was very understanding and nice and lenient. So overall, like, I think their system is just flawed, and the people themselves are not so much at fault. Of course, there are some motivations there also, like we mentioned before. But anyway, like you say, Krishna's gonna arrange and protect. This is Prabhupada's books and Prabhupada's mission. There's no way that we could face such a... I think it's just a test from the Lord.
Yeah, I mean, it can happen to anyone.
Yeah.
This can happen to anyone. Some criminal just comes and, you know, he puts drugs in your bag or something, and then you go to jail for 20 years. It's... Actually, according to the karmic law, these police and those who have the power, if they unjustly persecute a person, then they get punished. Yeah. You know, they will get a karmic reaction. So they don't know actually how foolish they, you know. I have dealt with, you know, many times with the government and the police, and they have one general characteristics, and that is indifference. They just don't care.
Yeah.
They just say, well, this is the system. I know it doesn't make sense. I know that it's ridiculous, but that's how it is, and we have to follow. And, you know, it's like they're indifferent. So when you're indifferent to injustice, you're guilty. You see, it's not that, well, I didn't know. Just like they try to accuse you. Why there's so much attacking you for this I don't know? Because they themselves are doing like that. Right. With their whole, you know.
They're probably smuggling people into to the UK border themselves with their position. Yeah.
I mean to say that they're persecuting people and like arresting and killing, or I don't know, putting in jail, and they don't really know what they're doing. They might get something right, of course, but many times they're doing, instead of justice, they create injustice.
Right.
So uh, when they're gonna be judged at the court of Yamaraj, um, and if they say, "Well, we didn't know it was the system," Yamaraj is not gonna excuse them. And why? If you say, "Well, I didn't know the migrant was there. Why so much? Why they're attacking you for this?" Well, because they're so much familiar with this. Blind man thinks everyone else is blind.
Right.
So it's like this. They project on you what they actually doing. They're ignorant. They don't know what they're doing, and they think also you're ignorant.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just made a very nice point that they actually don't know what they're doing, and their laws also are made up in the mind. Like they have, like in the Vedic culture, you have law books that are prescribed by great sages. They're actually spoken by God Himself, or Manu. So incarnation of God. So the Manu Samhita is given its perfect law, and Prabhupada explains that in India, or at least they used to, there's no need to introduce a new law or change these laws or make anything up, because everything's already perfectly given, and the society works perfectly. People are peaceful, and even if someone is punished, it's for the person's benefit. But now, because if you just make up a law according to your mental speculation or your whim or your political agenda, or you're Democrat or Republican or any of these made up things, meaningless titles that are just for your sense gratification in varying ways ultimately, then how can you expect your system to work very nicely? And you can see there's so much, all these laws create so much injustice, and the system costs so much taxpayer money, and people's lives are wasted because they don't have a proper justice system that's not approved by any authority, and it's not given by any authority. So yeah,
I can give a perfect example of this. In Montreal, I remember when we were chanting with my godbrother and with Ramachandra, and sometimes we would have problems with the police, and we would ask them, "So what is the problem? Is you chanting too loud? Chanting too loud?" And we would always ask, "What is too loud? What is, tell us, what is the limit? What is the law?" And actually, the law is that there is no such a limit.
wow.
The law is that if people complain, that is the criterion. So actually, it is not a law, because the law is supposed to solve this platform of relativity, that for you it's too loud, for me it's not too loud. So that's why there's a need of law to decide what is the standard.
Right.
So, but the law says that actually there is no law, and that is the law. And you people just fight, whoever is stronger, so this is designed by a complete mudha.
Yeah.
Such a law is not an actual law. And I'm not surprised that these policemen are, doing so much, like you said, so much nonsense, because the law itself is nonsense. Yeah. So
Their rule book is actually guiding them to be complete nonsense. Like this law you just mentioned, that's ridiculous. If someone's playing on his earbuds, like if I was a passerby, theoretically speaking, the cops interviewing you, the cops interrogating you, I could say, "I'm disturbed by your voice level, so please, I'm gonna make a citizen's arrest on you now." Just see how nonsense that relativity is. Yeah.
So anyway, so this will be it for today's podcast. How Maitreya Prabhu got arrested, and we'll be back next week. If you want to check out our live stream on Facebook. Yeah, we have like 5 seconds.
Oh, only 5 seconds even.
Go for it.
Okay. Well, I guess now I had a point, but I'm just going to continue Prabhu's point that he was just bringing out so he can end. Okay, so you can catch us out on all our social media that I mentioned in so many other podcasts, but there's all going to be linked down below. Have a nice day. Hare Krishna, who goes to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Prabhupada.